Hello everyone, welcome to Power Electronics. In this session, we continue our series discussion on controlled rectifiers. Particularly in this session, I will discuss the single phase semi-converter operation. This circuit indicates a single phase semi-converter with an inductive load and a freewheeling diode. It is to be noted that we have two thyristors and two diodes connected to form a bridge. So the control comes from the fact that we are using thyristors, and since diodes are also used, we call it as a semi-converter. So the inductive load will be controlled with the use of the freewheeling diode. That is, when none of the devices conduct, then the current across the load will continue to flow because of the freewheeling diode that is used here. Right. Let us start about the discussion of the operation here. Please note, we have assumed a highly inductive load and the current across the load is assumed to be a continuous load current. Right. During the positive half cycle of the input supply, the thyristor T1 is forward biased, so is diode D2. Please note, when thyristor T1 is triggered at omega t is equals to alpha, then T1 and D2 form a closed loop, that is the secondary through T1, then through load, other end of the load, then through D2, then the secondary negative. So you have now created a closed loop, and therefore thyristor T1 and diode D2 will take the responsibility of carrying the load current. Right. So this happens in the positive half cycle only, particularly when you trigger the thyristor T1 at omega t is equals to alpha. Right. During the period from pi to pi plus alpha, that is at the end of the positive half cycle, at the beginning of the negative half cycle, please note the load is inductive. So what will happen from pi till pi plus alpha? We will look at the diagrams first for more clarification. So this is what actually is happening. We have triggered the thyristor. This is the input half cycle. So this is the input supply voltage waveform. This is the output load voltage waveform. So at alpha you have given a triggering pulse, and therefore the load voltage has appeared. This occurs between omega t varying between alpha to pi. Now after pi, the negative half cycle starts. So let me go back to the circuit diagram here. Right. In the negative half cycle of the input supply, thyristor T2 and diode D1 will be forward biased. However, thyristor T2 will conduct only when a gating pulse is provided to it, just like how we have given a gating pulse for thyristor T1. So between this period, that is between the start of the negative half cycle till the thyristor T2 is triggered, this will happen at omega t is equals to pi plus alpha. You can see this is where the thyristor T2 is triggered. So between pi till pi plus alpha, the input voltage, as you can see, is negative, and this is the time at which the freewheeling diode Dm comes into picture, and therefore that is, it is forward biased. Now the freewheeling diode conducts to provide continuity of current in the inductive load. So whenever the thyristors are not conducting, freewheeling diode will help the load current to flow in the same direction and in a continuous fashion. Therefore, when the diode Dm is conducting, the load current is transferred from thyristor T1 and D2, which were conducting in the positive half cycle, to the freewheeling diode Dm. And whenever the freewheeling diode turns on, the thyristors T1 and T2, thyristor T1 and diode D2 will immediately turn off. Now, in the negative half cycle of the input voltage, the thyristor T2 is forward biased, and firing of thyristor T2 at omega t is equals to pi plus alpha will reverse bias the diode Dm. You can see whenever the thyristors and diode conduct, the voltage across the cathode to anode will be reversed. Therefore, when the input is connected to the secondary, the diode is always reverse biased. So the diode Dm is turned off and the load current is now connected through thyristor T2 and diode DM. So now coming to the quadrant diagram, you can always note the current direction when T1 and D2 are conducting is from the top to bottom across the load, and when T2 and D1 are conducting, it is still the same. So the current direction is always positive because it is only one conventional direction that is used here. Now what about the voltage when T1 and D2 are conducting? A positive voltage is connected across the load, and when T2 and D1 are conducting, once again a positive voltage is connected across the load, because if you look at this, this is nothing but a bridge rectifier. So the output voltage is also always positive. So that is why you will get a quadrant operation such as this for a single phase semi converter. Finally, coming to the waveforms, this is the output load voltage waveform. Now the third waveform is of the thyristor T1. Now, when the thyristor T1 conducts, let us go back to the thyristor T1. So, when the thyristor T1 conducts, the current I flows through the thyristor, and this is constant. It is not increasing nor decreasing, it is constant. So, we also have said we are approximating the circuitry for constant load current. Therefore, the thyristor T1 current will be IA, anode current, between alpha to pi. This is what actually is the values of omega t between which thyristor T1 conducts. Very similarly, for thyristor T2, which conducts between pi plus alpha till 2 pi, the value of the thyristor current is once again IA, no change in that. Now, when thyristor T1 conducts, we know diode D2 conducts. So, the current is supposed to be the same. So, IA is also the current across the diode D2. Very similarly, when thyristor T2 conducts, diode D1 conducts, so they will also share the same current. Now finally, coming to the value of the secondary current. You see, in the positive off cycle and the negative off cycle, what will happen to the secondary transformer current? Let us look into that. Right, this is actually the case. So when thyristor T1 is conducting and diode D2 is conducting, the secondary current is IA. Now when alternatingly in the negative off cycle thyristor T2 conducts and diode D1 conducts, the current is minus IA. Very important, it is negative. The secondary of the transformer will have negative current. However, due to the rectification process of the bridge rectifier, you will see the current across the devices themselves and then across the load is always positive. Lastly, coming to the load current I0. This is very important. You can just look at this. It is continuous. Now, quite obviously, you have to question how is it continuous, because whenever either the thyristor and diode conduct, the current is equal to IA. So, between alpha to pi and between pi plus alpha to 2 pi, the value of load current is IA. Then, what about the other terminus, that is between 0 to alpha and between pi to pi plus alpha? How is the current equal to IA? This is because in that particular duration, that is from 0 to alpha and pi to pi plus alpha, the freewheeling diode will be turned on, and since we are assuming a constant load current operation, the current continues to flow with the same value. Therefore, the value of IA will continue to be the same even when the freewheeling diode is conducting, which occurs between 0 to alpha, then pi to pi plus alpha. Lastly, we have the freewheeling diode current itself. So you can here clearly see, probably this waveform should have come below this waveform. However, so whenever the freewheeling diode conducts, which is between 0 to alpha, we have a continuous load current of IA. Again, between pi to pi plus alpha, you once again have the same value of load current. So adding this with the thyristor currents, we will get the final load current across the inductive load, and you can see this is constant and continuous. Right. So that is about the waveforms of the semi-converter circuit. Now finally, coming to the mathematical aspects, we will start with the average output voltage. Now let us go back and check the average output voltage for the semi-converter. Now you have two waveforms in each half cycle of the input supply. Right. So when this kind of waveform appears, once again I'm supposed to simply integrate whenever the output load voltage is non-zero, and that is what I'm going to do. So what I'm supposed to do is take one full cycle of the input and integrate the output voltage, load voltage, whenever the output load voltage is non-zero. So therefore it is 1 divided by 2 pi multiplied by the limits. You look at this, alpha to pi and then pi plus alpha to 2 pi. So if I start from 0, the output waveform appears exactly at the same delay as when I start from pi. So instead of writing the two separate terms, that is, instead of writing as 1 by 2 pi into integral of Vm sin omega t plus pi plus alpha to 2 pi, we will integrate that into one single equation, that is 2 divided by 2 pi integral of alpha to pi into what we are integrating. When the thyristors are conducting, the load voltage is equal to that of the supply, and supply is Vm sin omega t. So we are integrating Vm sin omega t with respect to what? If you look at the x-axis, it is written in terms of omega t. So therefore with respect to omega t. Right. So this is equal to, let me take the Vm to the constant side, to 2Vm by 2 pi. Integration of sin omega t is minus cos omega t, and the limits are alpha and pi. When I apply the limits, I find that the final average output voltage for a single phase semiconverter is Vm by pi into 1 plus cos alpha. Now as we already have seen in our previous session, alpha varies between 0 to pi, and therefore the average output voltage when alpha is 0, 1 plus cos of 0 is 1, so it will be 2. So 2Vm by pi. When alpha is equals to pi, alpha of cos pi is equals to minus 1. So this particular value gets cancelled, and when alpha is equals to pi, you will get 0 as average output voltage. So we can now write the VDC can be varied from 2Vm by pi till 0 by varying alpha from 0 to pi. You can substitute alpha as 0 and pi to get these values. Next we have the maximum average output voltage, which is when alpha was 0 and this is 2m by pi, right? So the maximum average output voltage and is denoted as VDM is 2Vm by pi, and the normalized average output voltage is Vn, which is equals to DC divided by the maximum value. So DC voltage we already have computed here, Vm by pi into 1 plus cos alpha, and Vdm is 2Vm by pi. So you simply put and take a ratio of that, you will get 0.5 into 1 plus cos alpha. Lastly, we find the RMS output voltage for the single phase semiconverter, which is I start from the mean value, then I square the values of integration and put a square root over the entire term, so that I get a root mean square. So this is the same equation what I had for VDC. VDC is nothing but the mean. So you take the mean term, write it first, then square it. What am I supposed to square? The values of integration. What I am integrating? The input. So Vm square sin square omega t. Then put a square root over the complete term to get the root mean square. Right. So Vm square is taken at the constant side. Sin square omega t cannot be integrated. So I expand it as 1 minus cos 2 omega t divided by 2. Then I put the integral limits directly to find the final value of the RMS output voltage as Vm by root 2 into 1 by pi whole multiplied by pi minus alpha plus sin of 2 alpha divided by 2 whole to the power of 1 by 2. Right. So this is about the discussion on a single phase semiconverter under control rectifiers session. Thank you.